What's up, Tsla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with Tesla SPY in the overall markets. I'm going to talk about some very key levels to watch for and what's happening with the charts thus far. But just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $2,000, you're guaranteed 30 in total. And the offer ends at the very end of March. Anyways, for the markets, we got some manufacturing numbers that came out from the Richmond Fed. All the data was pretty decent overall, and this led to the market pushing quite a bit. So if you look at SPY, for example, this was all the way down around 597 and pumped up to about 603. So a 6 point pump came, which is quite nice. But now we're watching to see can SPY hold above its key support to continue this push or not. But starting off, I'm going to talk more about SPY in just a minute. Let's talk about Tesla first. Tesla's on a bit of a downtrend. We saw this little push when we opened up to about just under 400. Then we saw this thing dip back down. Unfortunately, Tesla's still a little bit lackluster. We're going to be watching our main support at 383. That's our 200 EMA. That is a strong support. There are lots of buyers who like to defend it over there, so we'll see if that ends up being the case. But just know this, I'm not too worried about this move. Even if Tesla does kind of like consolidate and then starts dipping a little bit more, that's going to be completely fine because what's going to matter is going to be earnings and FOMC. That's going to be for tomorrow. So will Tesla get a big bounce back into the 400s like this? Or is Tesla about to see a rug pull and just continue to dump all the way down to much lower levels? It depends on earnings and factors like that. That's just going to cause a much larger move. So for now, I see a lot of chop coming to Tesla and possibly the markets. And we are looking a little bit lackluster compared to SPY and the others. So there's going to be a risk of this dipping a little bit more. Anticipating its earnings, we're seeing some selling that's going on, which is no surprise. There was also some negative news that came out, which we went over earlier. But besides that, I'm not necessarily, I'm not necessarily too worried. So for Tesla, watch 383 is the main support. As long as we don't lose that, we're going to continue to shuffle. Our main resistance right now is going to be right around here, this like 395 to 394 area. So very close to 394-ish. I would say we're just stuck in a range for now. We could dip a little bit more, but just know that I'm not too worried until we see what happens with earnings and factors like that. As far as SPY goes, we tried to push. We managed to get back above 602, which is a very good sign. And we're trying to go for this gap fill. We're actually, on our way to doing that. I want to see us try to see if we could close above 602. If we manage to do that, I think we have potential to try to push a little bit more approaching FOMC. There's a very good chance that's going to happen. If we're bearish on SPY, I want to see us essentially lose 598. If that fails us, we're looking for 595 all over again. We saw this dip on SPY only to get bought back up. And as of right now, we are favoring upside a bit more as long as we're above like 600 and we're very close to 602. If we try to break that, we could slowly try to push up to fill this gap. There is a lot of potential in this, but we'll see if we hold above these levels or not. For now, SPY is in a range. Although it's favoring upside a bit more, we'll watch to see if this holds. I still think there's a good chance we try to fill that gap, but then whether or not we see a big move, whether it's a bigger pump or a dump, depends on FOMC. Now for the QQQ, we have support at 514.8 and resistance at 520 to 521. There's a much larger gap on the QQQ compared to SPY because it gapped down harder yesterday because of the news. So with that being said, we'll have to be watching this very closely to see if we can sustain these levels. There's a good chance we try to break past 520 to 521. And if we do that by tomorrow, we will remain more bullish. So let's see, as long as we hold 514.8, we're going to be fine. If we can't hold that, we could turn back down. So I'll be watching this very closely. For the Russell 2000, okay, I'm seeing a little bit of weakness here compared to SPY and the others. I wanted to see this break past 227. If we can't do that, we're looking at support at 225. We need to hold this or else we could be dipping lower towards like 224 or below. So there's like a double top structure, which looks a bit more bearish. And we could be looking for a move back down to 224.5. So I see some weakness. On ES, we look a bit more bullish. We need to see if we could hold 60-70 near our 20 EMA. If we hold this, we could slowly try to push to fill that gap. If we can't do that and we end up losing 60-50, we're looking for a 60-27 as the last support. If 60-27 breaks on ES, we could be dipping back down to about 59.80. As long as we're above essentially the support at 60-70-ish, around that range, we could be looking for that gap fill. So we're favoring upside a little bit more on ES, but we'll see if we can sustain these levels or not. Looking at NQ, same thing is going on. We have tough resistance at the 21,500s. That's where the EMAs happen to be. But if we end up losing support at 21,270, we could be turning back down. For now, we look a bit more bullish, especially as we have this gap to fill. So we'll see if we can sustain these levels. For now, the market is still favoring upside a bit more as long as we hold. Bitcoin's showing some, I wouldn't necessarily say it's like weakness. I would just say it's very flat and it's shuffling. We have resistance at 103,000 and we have our main support at 101,500. We're stuck in our range for now, so I think it's just going to be range bound for the time being. Not really doing much, unfortunately. Nvidia is showing some life. So what's good about Nvidia is the fact that we're trying to base at 120. That's all I care about. As long as we could try to hold 120 and base there, there's a good chance it tries to rebound. I'm not really worried about it getting back above 130 for now. We just want to focus on 120. Let's see if we hold that. If that holds, we're going to be in a much better place. Once again, like I said about Tesla, it's a little bit lackluster. There's a little bit of weakness approaching its earnings. So watch that 383 area to see if Tesla holds. And then even though it's dipping, I'm not too worried. We'll have to see what earnings causes, just as one more reminder. Apple, on the other hand, is very, very strong, very bullish. This is what helped the market push a bit. Nice bullish divergence double bottom. And we have resistance around this like 240 area. If it breaks that, we're looking for essentially 246. If we lose 236.8, we turn back down to 231. For now, we're looking bullish. We want to break past 240. It's going to be a tough resistance, but we're doing a great job so far. For Coinbase, this is also like range bound like Bitcoin between 282 and essentially 274. For Amazon, it's looking more bullish. We managed to break past 235. I mentioned if we break that, look for 238 to 240. We pushed up to that range of resistance, but now the question is, can we break 240? It's the next tough resistance. If not, we could be looking for 238 and 235 as our supports, but overall it looks a bit more bullish. It's favoring that it's going to slowly continue to make higher highs and higher lows. So it's doing a great job so far, looking bullish. Meta, on the other hand, is looking even more bullish. It's actually holding up a lot better at these levels. So if we, as long as we hold above, I would say this like, 668 area around there. I'm looking for an attempt to get up to about 680. There's potential in this. If we break 675, I'm looking for 680. And if we lose 670, we're looking for 668 as the first support, and eventually 660 is the next one. But overall, we look bullish. We're very bullish on Meta. We're outperforming the market. I think there's a good chance we try to continue. Microsoft is also looking more bullish. We came up to fill this gap as predicted. I said as long as we hold 436, we're looking for 440 and 443. So if we were to lose 440, I'm looking for 436 again. As long as we're above that, we're looking for an attempt for 444. Looks bullish to me. Google's looking more bullish. As long as we don't end up losing essentially 193, I think we favor that we want to be pushing for 197.4. I want to see it break that to really start pushing. There's a big gap above, so we'll see if that fills. We have earnings coming up very, very, very soon, so we'll see how that goes for them. But so far, like I said, the market is still holding up quite well, especially if you look at like SPY and the others, we're still holding up at these levels, and we favor upside. Yes, guys, Tesla's a little bit lackluster this morning, but don't worry, we'll have to see what happens with earnings and these other factors. Hopefully, Tesla does well, and we'll see what happens with their guidance and such. Until I see you guys again, I will try to give you guys a preview of earnings very soon. Until then, have a good day, guys, and peace out.